Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Musical People and Journeys rock show. What is this episode all about? Well, let me quickly explain. Every month we do a what we call a kind of festival rock show where me and my friends, we basically review around about 12 rock albums per month, and we rate them out of 5. And you know, just for fun and just for you guys to see what the latest and the greatest in the rock album world is. However, so it's an hour-long show. So what these shows are, what this one-off show is, to take a single album review for you to listen to, which will be about maybe 10 minutes, and for you to kind of, so if you just want to hear, you know, the latest Ghost album rather than listen to the whole show, then you can have a sample of what we're all about, and hopefully, if you enjoy, you can come back and watch the whole show from start to beginning with all the albums kind of reviewed as well. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe our show, and to spread the message about what we do. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this single album review and the actual show itself. Thank you very much. So next up on stage is a band called Vypera and Eat Your Heart Out. Well, let's start. Well, are we going to carry on? Are we going to keep carrying on the way we started then? So, Deji, let's start with you and Vypera.
Okay. Fair enough.
Did this improve?
It is an improvement on the last one. They've got a very distinct 80s sound, but it is sadly a little bit too generic to capture my interest. They're clearly a very talented group of musicians with a lot of potential, but I think they just failed to deliver on that. There are some good moments. Standing on the Edge as a track definitely worthy of repeat listens. And while it is somewhat enjoyable to listen to, after the album finishes, it's easily forgotten, and there's not much here that's, you know, ever going to get you to come back. If you're into 80s rock, I would recommend giving it a go. Just don't expect to be blown away.
Christy?
So I actually had to go look up a picture of the band out of morbid curiosity, and I think they'd be a hell of a lot better off with mullets and porn stashes. It definitely does have that 80s feel about it, but that's kind of my problem with it. It could be one of 100 rock throwback bands. You know, it seems to be a cool thing to do at the moment, to just hark back to the, and I use the term loosely, good old days of rock and roll. I was fine with it up until a point, and I listened to the song called Spellbound, and then I had to stop it and go, wait a minute, that sounds really, really familiar. So I went and listened to the beginning of a really famous Black Sabbath song called Sabracadabra, and the introduction is identical. They've just ripped it straight off. So after that, my opinion just plummeted. I'm all for plagiarism in small amounts, but that was just blatant rip-off.
Okay. Ian?
So there was a good analogy for Smart Price Guns N' Roses before. These were the Smart Price Motley Crue. I genuinely believed I was listening to an 80s LA band, not a modern day Swedish band. Spoilers, this was the lowest score that I gave all week, all month rather. And just to give you context, I whacked the playlist on and listened to it in the car, everywhere, all the time. And this album, I started, the opening of Slow Me Down promises so much, the opening track. It's a really cool build-up. And 20 seconds in, not even that, you're just let down. And that maintains throughout the rest of the album. It was just a really bad Motley Crue cover version. I think cover band is what I felt. So, didn't tick my box at all, this one.
Paul?
I'm just going to reinforce what everybody has said. Obviously, from the last couple of months, Scandinavia is currently a hotbed for hard rock and heavy metal bands. Hailing from Sweden comes Vypera with a debut album, Eat Your Heart Out. It too is a hard rock offering that borders on being heavy metal at times. As a first album from a band, it's not bad. The music is fine. There's plenty to take in from the guitarist, and the singer has power to his voice. it's the material that lets it down. It feels as if the band has played safe and created an album based on the formula used by the likes of Bon Jovi and Europe. It would be interesting to see what type of following they create and if they're bolder with their music in the future. As of now, they just don't stand out in the crowded hard rock and heavy metal genre.
Okay. Well, it looks like will Vypera get a fan here? Sort of. I thought very similar. I thought they were like an alternative Def Leppard from that perspective. I never really got into Black Sabbath. I didn't like them. And Spellbound was one of my favourite tracks. So maybe I should listen to more Black Sabbath because obviously they've got tracks. I for some reason. Black Sabbath's voice kind of turned me off from a very young age. I never really liked him, and but maybe I kind of should do. And in fact, it's very interesting because I don't know if everybody watched the Stranger Things series, but I never really got into Metallica. I thought they were too heavy, but based on what I saw from Stranger Things, I thought, oh, actually, maybe I should be listening a bit more Metallica from the kind of 80s side of things as well. It was, I think there's a lot of albums here, for me anyway, which is just like, it was okay. It was fairly enjoyable. It was listening to it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't brilliant. It was just okay. I quite enjoyed it. I actually came back and listened to this album, 3 or 4 times. So it was all right. As I say, it didn't set the world on fire, but it wasn't bad. And yes, there might be some plagiarism in it, but that happens all the time. But it's only plagiarism if you can match it up against something you've heard before, which I kind of hadn't, other than obviously the obvious 80s kind of side of things as well. So I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay. Didn't set the world on fire, but I thought it was fairly solid effort. It was all right. Yes, it was 80s dad rock, but hey, I like 80s dad rock, so what can I say? So let's find out our ratings then. So Dave,
2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Okay. Chris.
1 out of 5.
Chris, you are right. You are in that zone, Chris, aren't you? The One Brigade. Ian.
I agree with Dave there, and 2 out of 5.
Paul.
Yeah,
I'll go with the flow. I won't go with the chopper. I'll give it a 2.
2. It got a 3.5 for me. I've got a 3. It was all right. I didn't think it was that bad, but there we go. Who am I? What does it matter? Hey, listen, just listen to me. Okay, so 6, 7, 10 and a half. At least it got the double figures. And doesn't end in the bottom rock pile.